an American art history teacher, Emma, is excited for her work trip to Italy. As she pursues another personal project of uncovering the story behind a wedding veil, she meets the dashing Italian, Paolo di Stefano, who comes from a family of lace makers. Emma is packing for her trip to Italy, where she plans to stay for 2 months to teach American art. When her friend Tracy mentions the veil they found in San Francisco, Emma offers to let her take it. Tracy is in no hurry to get married to her boyfriend, Finn, and thinks Emma should have it so she can find out the story behind it. As the bell rings, Tracy suspiciously goes to check it, and their friend Avery surprises Emma. Avery insists this doesn't count as their annual reunion weekend, which they will plan somewhere special in spring. Avery just came back from a dreamy honeymoon but is still jealous of Emma's trip to Italy. Emma had initially planned it with her ex, but Tracy doesn't want her to dwell on her broken heart. Avery asks her to believe everything happens for a reason, and even Emma has a lot of expectations from this trip, since it was very tough to convince her department to agree with this. Thanks to her friends, she's already feeling much better about it. Her Italian isn't great since she doesn't get foreign languages easily, but is sure she will manage. They ask Emma to not show the veil to a handsome stranger who might get a wrong impression. She's not even considering romance, since she doesn't want her heart broken again, but Avery believes in the magic of the veil, since it helped her find true love with her husband Peter. For now, Emma is just happy with her PowerPoint. Emma meets Francesca at the hotel in Italy where she's staying and is excited to be back after many years. As she unpacks, she puts on her translator app to practice Italian. Francesca drops by with some treats and wonders if Emma is getting married because of the veil. Emma explains that she bought it with her friends and is curious about the history behind it. She thinks it's the same veil worn in a 19th century painting by Claudio Amasai. She also discusses a legend the shopkeeper shared with them, which states that the person in possession of the veil finds true love, but she doesn't believe it. She finally meets Natalia at the university after 2 years and they discuss how important it is for the program to be successful. Natalia isn't worried since her class is already full, but wants Emma to enjoy her stay. Emma plans to head to Verona to check out the lace shops for the veil, and since the oldest lace shops in Italy are there, Francesca thinks it's a great place to start. As she tries to purchase a ticket to the boat, she takes too long, so a man offers to help her. She tries to say something in broken Italian which makes everyone laugh. As she's nervous about making everyone late for the boat, he assures her nothing in Italy works on time. When she finally gives up and lets him help, he realizes she has entered the format of the date incorrectly. After the boat ride, the man stops her again since she has dropped her tickets and needs them to go back to Italy. She thanks him but wonders if he's following her since they seem to be going in the same direction. He can tell she's American since she seems very guarded. She admits she's from Chicago, which excites him since he loves the place. As she takes pictures, he finds her again and points out that she is too close to the canal. The lace museum is locked, so she looks around and finds a lace shop, where she learns the woman who was supposed to open it just had a baby, so she didn't. Emma realizes things in Italy do work on their own timeline and asks the woman for help with the veil. She doesn't recognize the pattern, but asks her to try Stefano Martello d'Art, which is the oldest shop on the island. Emma finds Maria there and asks about the veil, but she gets too excited and calls out to her daughter, Elena, and granddaughter, Sophia, in excitement. As they all admire the veil, the man finds her again and knows she'll need his help to translate. She is sure he's following her now, but he clarifies that she's standing in his family's shop. He introduces himself as Paolo di Stefano and explains that his grandmother, Maria, is excited because the veil was made in their shop. Emma feels bad about being rude to him but is still confused about the veil. His family believed it had been destroyed in a fire, but he is sure it's the same one since Maria recognized the embroidery instantly. The veil also has the shop's custom signature and the initial A for the bride Ariana, the same woman from Amasai's painting. He explains that Ariana was his great-great-great-grandfather's sister. She wants to know more about the veil, so he remembers the story about it accidentally getting burnt by a candle just before Ariana's wedding. Even in her wedding pictures, she's wearing a different one, which means the portrait was painted before her wedding day. Back in the day, wealthy families used to get portraits painted by prominent artists like Amasai. While the Di Stefano family, or his family, wasn't rich, Ariana was still engaged to Count Marco, who commissioned the portrait. He wonders how Emma got hold of it, and she explains how she came across it in San Francisco. Without sounding disrespectful, Paolo offers to buy the veil from her, since it's very special to his family. She wants to discuss it with her friends first since they own it together. He apologizes for putting her in a spot, but knows it would mean a lot to Maria, who is very close to Ariana. He offers to pay whatever price she wants, but Emma knows she can't accept money and doesn't want to put a price on sentiment. Emma discusses the situation with her friends, who are fine with her giving it back. Avery is happy she got to wear an Italian contessa's veil and they think of it as repatriating a work of art. They still seem curious about how Paolo is, since she was carrying the veil when she met him. Emma is not considering a romantic angle here but is curious to know the rest of the veil story. Maria is moved by Emma's gesture of bringing the veil back to the family after 133 years and hugs her. Paolo and Emma wonder why Ariana didn't wear it for her wedding. At a museum in Verona, Emma introduces herself as an art history professor, teaching classes in Padua, and claims to be interested in Amasai. She knows their museum has some papers and wants to talk to the curator. Paolo is there for the same reason and is equally curious. The curator informs them that Amasai perished at a young age, so they just have a few pieces from his collection. She asks for the portrait of a bride, for which they have some early sketches. She notices Ariana is smiling in those sketches, but not in the finished painting. Apart from these, the curator knows about a biography published a few years ago on Amasai by a local historian. While Paolo thinks Ariana's story ends there, Emma feels there might be more to it. He offers her a ride back to Padua since he lives there too. While his shops are in Verona and Rome, Emma still wants to see some sights in Verona, so he suggests the Romeo and Juliet balcony, which she is strictly against. She admits she had a recent heartbreak, but he thinks the balcony is the right place to restore anyone's faith and love. He proposed to his wife there, but she passed away a few years ago. Even if he avoided it for a long time, when he finally went back to the balcony and saw couples in love, it made him realize that life goes on. Emma isn't ready for that yet, so she decides to visit the least romantic place in Verona, the Castelvecchio. Emma begins her first lesson with an idea of what they will cover in the upcoming week. But when she tries to start her laptop, it causes a current and a power outage. A student, Luca, realizes it happened because she used a converter and an adapter. Emma is embarrassed about her first class and thinks the students might not turn up again, even if Natalia sympathized with her about causing a blackout in the building. Her friends want her to put this incident behind her and discuss the Amasai biography. Emma has found it, but it's in Italian, and Avery thinks it's the perfect excuse to call Paolo for translation. She doesn't want to come on too strong, but Tracy reminds her that she doesn't know anyone else who speaks Italian and is interested in the veil. After Paolo speaks to Emma, he tries to talk to his father, Armando, and uncle, Vittorio, about business. He wants to expand their business to the States since the American market for high-end lace is booming. The demand for all their items is high, and he feels like it's the perfect time to open a new store there. They haven't expanded anywhere in the last 40 years and don't feel the need to, even if Paolo has been to the United States many times and knows the market there. Armando doesn't care about this idea but decides to consider it for Maria, whose 85th birthday is coming up. Paolo is taking Emma to Venice to find out more about the Amasai book. She wants to grab a coffee on the way, but Paolo explains how seriously Italians take their coffee. She's impressed when she notices he has a sports car and remembers Marcello Mastroianni movies, which she binged before coming to Italy. They get on a boat to Venice and enjoy the view on their way. When Paolo gets hold of the book, he realizes there are many references to Ariana. The author knew Ariana and Amasai fell in love while he was painting her portrait. She also wrote a letter to Amasai about being promised to someone else. She mentions that she loves him but can't bring shame to her family by running away with him. After that, Amasai apparently passed away after a year due to a broken heart. For her next class, Emma tries to make a joke about the students being brave enough to come back. She shows them some more images they don't seem to be familiar with. A student wants to know when they'll cover Warhol and Liechtenstein, but postmodern artists are not in Emma's plan for a few more weeks, since she wants them to have a perspective of early American history first. Paolo finds her at the university too, and mentions he mentors some students there in the design program. He used to sketch designs for lace patterns but is taking care of the sales and marketing for their business now. Emma doesn't understand how she can stop being a disaster in the classroom, and even he wonders if she is the one who almost started a fire. For her, the worst part is that she's unable to connect with the students. When she mentions they want to know more about modern artists, Paolo thinks it's because everyone in Italy is already surrounded by history. She still thinks it's more important to understand the history chronologically since she likes an order to things. But she knows she needs to relax, so Paolo wants to show her something his grandmother taught him. As they stitch lace by hand, Emma knows his grandmother is right since she hasn't thought about her class for an hour. While she worries about making progress, Paolo teaches her the need to slow things down and live in the moment. When she asks for his approval, he is impressed with the work but wants to show her a trick. He comes closer and holds her hand from behind to show her how to do it, which makes her suddenly feel nervous. She's impressed that this is his design and wants to hear the story about how lace making first came to Verona. He shares a local folklore about a fisherman who set sail before his wedding day. During the journey, a siren tried to seduce him with her song, but he stayed true to his fiancée. Since she was impressed, she flicked her tail against his boat, which formed a web of sea foam that dried by the time he reached home, and he gave it to his fiancée to make a wedding veil. Emma doesn't usually believe in fairy tales, but she loves this story. When he asks for her story, she admits she was with someone for 4 years who took a job far away. They tried long distance, but he eventually met someone else and broke her heart. Paolo thinks they weren't meant to be together, but she has completely given up on long distance now. He wants her to remember the Italian saying of people being capable of making anything work if they want to. When Emma takes her class this time, she asks about the first American superstar artist, but realizes that is too old for them. She shuts her laptop and announces they're going to jump ahead to 20th century. She wants to discuss her favorite American realist painter, Edward Hopper. Luca knows about him from his famous painting of the diner. She wonders what else they like about American culture, and the student who was interested in Lichtenstein's paintings claims she likes comic books, which makes sense since the painter's work is a parody of comic art. Sophia knows their dad isn't happy about Paolo making a deal with the United States buyers about the new evening bags. He thinks it's worth the risk and knows there's nothing else in the market like them. He knows Armando will have more faith in his judgment when he proves his point. She notices he's making the mermaid tail designs after a long time and teases him about the woman he was sharing this story with. As Emma admires a perfume bottle, she finds Luca at the shop, who works there part-time. He introduces his uncle Alberto, who owns the shop, and knows Luca enjoys her classes a lot. Alberto is proud of Luca already being accepted to the Accademia Riasai, a famous art school in Florence, to become a master glass artist. The only condition is that he needs to finish his undergraduate degree in one more class, which is why he took hers. Francesca is heading out for the Luminaria Festival and asks Emma to come along, but she needs to finish grading papers. She eventually gets there and is excited to share with Paolo that she made a spontaneous decision. He takes her to the street of Luminaria and explains that they honor Saint Antonio at the festival, who is the patron saint of lost things. They both discuss Ariana and think she didn't wear the veil at the wedding since she wasn't marrying the man she loved. They still don't know how it reached San Francisco, but Emma knows she can find out more about it now that her classes are going well. She thanks him for his advice of being more flexible, and he is just glad Italy is having an impact on her. She has always tried to control everything, but knows romance is something she can never control. He compares romance to the moon and stars and shows her the beautiful Italian moon. They join other couples under the stars for a dance where he spots his cousin, Lucia, and her husband, Franco. Emma jokes about his big family, and he admits even the mayor's daughter is married to his cousin. Emma decides to walk back to the hotel with Francesca, who teases her about dancing with Paolo. Emma comes to check on Luca after he missed 2 classes and he reveals that he had to withdraw. He loves the classes, but he's not allowed to attend because he missed the deadline to pay the rest of his tuition. With only 3 weeks left, Emma is worried about him not graduating. But Luca doesn't know what to do since his family can't help him financially. Emma offers to speak to Natalia about this but asks him to keep attending her classes so he doesn't get left behind. Paolo informs Emma that Maria thinks there's an old trunk of Ariana in their storeroom and asks her to meet at the shop. She speaks to Natalia about Luca's tuition and wonders if there's some financial aid they can consider. Luca is already on partial scholarship, and Natalia thinks if he keeps coming to classes, there can be consequences. Emma promises to find a way but needs him to attend. Maria has placed the veil next to Ariana's portrait and shows Emma an original Burano lace she found in a tiny pocket of the veil, which is a sign of good luck. Emma also shares the legend of the veil with Maria, which Paolo thinks sounds very Italian. There are a lot of things in the storeroom and they even play with the lace hats they find. He shares that he loves American musicals which were performed in Gallipoli Square. They find the trunk and discover many items along with a smaller box with Ariana's name on it. The box has a photo of Amasai and her will, which mentions she left a portion of her estate to his grandmother and another significant one to her chambermaid, Carmela de Concini, who she claims helped her in her darkest hours. They assume the maid knew about Amasai and the veil and think she might have some heirs who can give them answers. She wants to pursue this story more and suggests she is having a change of heart since she also wants to see Juliet's balcony now. Maria calls them for lunch and wants Emma to meet the family. After lunch, Maria brings out a dessert that looks a lot like apple pie. Paolo explains that his grandmother thinks everything good belongs to Italy. Emma remembers all the great things Italy has given to the world, which impresses Armando since she sounds like a true professor. She's only in Italy for a few more weeks before she heads to Rome, but Maria wants her to attend her birthday party. Emma is an only child, so she doesn't know much about big families, but they tease her about not knowing what the future holds. Paolo apologizes for his family trying to set them up, which is something they do a lot since his wife Gabriella passed away. Emma understands since her parents do that too. They discuss how despite their family's efforts, they haven't found anyone. He wants to show her Burano in a small boat and thinks the experience is much better than on foot. Paolo brings her to his favorite part of the island. He wants to have gelato, which seems too much for Emma after a big lunch. But that is what Italians do, while Americans try to rush back to work after a quick lunch. She loves the colorful houses which she learns were painted that way, because early fishermen wanted to find their way home through the fog. He used to work at a fishing boat when he was young and thought lace was old-fashioned. When he grew up, he realized he loves the business, even if he has been struggling with it lately. His father is against expanding the business to the US, so Emma suggests he can use a different approach through visuals and show them a PowerPoint. They bump into Anita, who Emma mistakes for another cousin, but turns out to be Paolo's old girlfriend. He wonders what they can do about Ariana's chambermaid, and Emma plans to go to the library on campus to figure it out. He asks her to call him if she finds anything. Her friends love the story about Ariana and her chambermaid, but also wonder what's happening between her and Paolo. She admits she has feelings for him but knows since long distance can't work, she's not considering it. Emma finds that Ariana's maid Carmela Di Concini passed away in 1958 and has a grandson who lives in Verona now. Paolo brings some gifts for her friends and her before their ride to Verona, and she loves the scarf. They meet Carmela's grandson, who remembers his grandmother mentioning working for the Contessa many times. He shows them some photos in which Emma notices Carmela wearing Ariana's veil. After the wedding, he assumes Carmela must have given the veil to her daughter Claudia, whose only child is his cousin Angela. She moved to the US, which explains how the veil got there. When they reach Juliet's balcony and see the wall where everyone writes letters to Juliet, Paolo asks if she wants to write one. She's not sure, but he shares that he wrote one when his wife passed away and it helped him, because he wanted to heal his heart. After their class, Emma tells Lucas about a foundation in Boston that gives scholarships for the arts. She has downloaded an application and needs him to fill it that day itself. He's done with most steps but needs his transcripts, which are at the registrar's office. She walks with him and manages to negotiate with the woman to let Luca get his transcripts on time. The curator sends her more sketches from Amasai's personal collection from 1890, and while he recognizes some as those of his mother, he doesn't know who the child is. Emma is back in Paolo's basement to find if they missed something. She thinks it's strange there's a christening gown in Ariana's things when she didn't have children. Emma knows Amasai and Ariana fell in love in 1889, and Amasai made the sketch of a child a year later, so it sounds like they might have a child together. When Paolo checks the gown, he finds Claudia's name on it, which is also the name of the chambermaid's daughter. They think she could have been Amasai and Ariana's daughter, and Ariana might have given the baby to Carmela to raise as her own, since she might have had to keep it a secret. Emma also finds a photo that looks a lot like the child from the sketch. At the back, there's a message from Ariana addressing Claudia as her most precious secret. They know for sure she was their daughter, and it explains why Amasai succumbed to a broken heart. Paolo has gathered his family away from the lunch table to discuss business and is excited to share his presentation. Avery has heard back from Peter and is excited to share that Luca got the grant from the foundation. Emma informs Natalia about the foundation offering to pay Luca's full tuition, since they were impressed with his work. She feels bad about putting Natalia in an awkward position with Luca, but Natalia admires Emma's commitment to her students. Paolo sends flowers to Emma to thank her for helping with the presentation, and she gets an idea. She borrows Francesca's kitchen to make an apple pie for Maria, since she always wanted to try American apple pie. When Paolo comes to get Emma for the party, she boasts about her apple pie being the best in Chicago. Armando discusses a call he got from their New York distributor and admits the evening bags are a huge success. Paolo knows they can do better with the store in New York, but the idea of change scares Armando. He still apologizes to Paolo for being so hard on him. Paolo takes Emma to see San Marco Square at night. She loved meeting his family, and when she mentions she will miss Maria, he asks if she can stay a little longer in Italy so they get to spend more time. She doesn't want to start something they can't finish, even if he teases her about starting something between them 6 weeks ago when she couldn't figure out how to buy a pass for the Vaporetto. They know they've come a long way since then, but Emma thinks Chicago is too far from Italy for anything between them to work. He knows she feels the same way about him, but she is more worried about getting her heart broken again. He understands and teases her about her Italian pronunciation to make her smile. Emma asks Francesca to post a letter to Juliet for her and opens a package from Maria. She has given her the veil back since Ariana never meant to kept it, and it found its way to Emma. While she's thanking Francesca, she gets a call from Natalia confirming that the university has picked up her program for next year too. Armando thinks since their business is doing well, they should pursue Paolo's proposal to open a store in New York. He still looks upset because Emma is leaving that day, so Sophia reminds him about Ariana's story and asks him to go after his love. He rushes to the train station and gets into the moving train when he finds Emma. He confesses his love for her and admits he doesn't want to lose her. Since they're opening a store in New York, he knows now he can be much closer to her. He promises to never break her heart and they finally kiss. 6 months later, Emma wears the veil on their wedding day, but after the ceremony, tries to give it to Tracy. They discuss how happy Emma's parents are with Paolo's family. He's opening a store in Chicago instead of New York because he doesn't want to be that far from her. Tracy thinks Paolo knows he's lucky to have her, but Emma has started believing in the magic of the veil since she was carrying it when she met Paolo, and it helped them get closer. They all toast to the veil and its magic, and even if Tracy doesn't believe in it yet, she is in talks with Finn about getting engaged. As they all toast to the veil and true love, Emma and Paolo are glad they found theirs.